And here we go. All right, so we're going to get started because we only have a 30-minute slot and we don't want to go above and beyond that. We know we had a bunch of people register. So we're hoping that they do get a chance to jump on. The links were sent out. They should have received them. But nonetheless, and thank you so much, Margarita, my friend, who is also not only in the Zoom with us for the second day of the 31-day or the second week of the 31-day challenge, but she is also in the Facebook page, which is great because she's going to go ahead and share, which we really appreciate that. And my co-host and I will also be doing that in a moment. As soon as I stop talking, I will share on my stuff. So thank you for being here. So we are into the second week. We finished 1 week, folks, 1 week of the new year. So most people are still really, really gung-ho, very motivated about what they're doing and the goals that they've set and all that stuff. So our goal here is to make sure that you stay steadfast, accountable. And as we said last week, it also helps keep us accountable. So thank you, Catherine, for coming on. We greatly appreciate you being here. It's fabulous that you're here. For those of you that are just joining for the first time, you can see the first video. If you're on Facebook, you'll be able to go back into my page, Dr. Lori Monaco, and see the very first session. And then if not, you can always connect with me. I will put my info in the chat and I will also put it on the comment section in Facebook. And you can connect with me and we can always give you the link on YouTube. I don't think the link is public on YouTube. It might be, I can't remember how I said it, but if it's not, we can give you the link and then you can watch that first one. It's not that they necessarily ride on top of one another, but you still need the questions that we pose to you to help build, right? So just to review, last week's questions were this. What do you want? Okay, what is it that you want? Maybe not necessarily for 2022. Okay, we don't have to necessarily say it for a new year. Catherine, you are more than welcome if you want to, because we are recording and we're live. If you want to use, not have your video on, but we love to see you. It's not that we don't, but we always like to give people that option. So thank you for being here. So the question is, what do you want? What do you want for your 2022? But as my BF Margarita, who's on and the Gladiator Guru says, don't even limit yourself to the 2022. What do you want for the next 12 months? Okay, so if you are starting a little bit behind, don't sit there and say, well, the New Year's end, it's already started and forget it. I'm not you can reset and change your life at any moment in time. So say, what would you want in the next 12 months? It could even be within the next 6 months. Okay, so what do you want? That was last week. And then why do you want it? And the why part is ridiculously important because that sets the intention, that gives you an emotional connection to your want. And don't just ask yourself, this is what I want and this is why I want it. We want you to go beyond that and ask why. Ask yourself why 5 times. Why, if you want to lose weight, for instance, that's the most common thing that people want to do in the beginning of the year, of every year. If you want to lose weight, why do you want to lose the weight? And then why do you want to lose, and why for that answer? And then why? And keep digging to get to that deeper piece. So for those of you that are joining, and actually just anybody in general, my name is Dr. Lori Monaco. My business is Align Yourself, Inc. I am a teacher, speaker, coach. I specialize in coaching and workshops that are mindfulness centered, and I work specifically with individuals that are dealing with or living with depression, anxiety, sadness, if they feel stuck, or if their life was thrown a curveball and they weren't expecting it and they have to start over. I do work with women generally 35 and over. However, I do have men on occasion come in as clients. But my workshops are open to anyone and everyone. So I do corporate workshops. I do workshops with healthcare workers, teaching mindfulness living. And actually, I teach what's called warrior mindfulness, and I do warrior coaching. So I will provide information if you want information on that. I'm also a chiropractor, and I have been for over 23 years. And a teacher, a post-secondary teacher of health and human science. So I know a lot about the human body, to say the least. And I love educating my clients and participants in the workshops about the body and not just the power of the mind, which is why I'm also known as the Badass Buddha. That's my nickname. And I have a show that I co-host with the fabulous Margarita, who is on right now, the Gladiator Guru, called Viva Café con Leche, which is on Tuesday, Thursdays, 8 a.m. Eastern, live on Facebook and YouTube. And my nickname for this, along with my co-host, we figured this out that worked best for us. We love each other because we're both science nerds, very proud science nerds. So I am the biologist. I'm the one who's the biology lady, and my fabulous co-host is the chemistry guy. So and physics, really, if you want to get to it, is both. So I'm going to hand it over the mic to him so he can introduce himself.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Mark Baldazar. I would, for a long time, would consider myself a scientist, and I still do. And that's kind of, I would say, one of my first languages in the way I speak and look at things is science. But I would also now mix it, science and spirituality, and really at a place of trying to help people move from settling to success. So often we get satisfied, and we're going to talk a little bit about this today. We get satisfied with, oh, it's good enough, right? Knowing that it really isn't good enough, but it's just easier to be in good enough. So I really help people, businesses move from that settling to the success that they dream of through some universal laws. One of those, the law of attraction, which I like to call more just the law, or the universal law of creation, law of change, and law of cause and effect. And we'll talk about some of those things today. So really, it doesn't matter, since the way that our experiences and reality unfold, it doesn't matter if you're an individual or you're a business, it happens the same way. And I think what we're going to talk about today, and so I do this, I apply these laws singularly or combined with a number of different clients, individual clients or companies. So that's what I do. And, there's, I can give you what I like to do and connect is really connect one-on-one. So I like to have discovery calls to understand what people want to do, because I'm not a cookie cutter kind of guy. Like, I'm not in the corporate world anymore because I didn't fit the mold. So, and I don't think there's a one size fits all for anyone out there as well. So as we talk about these things here over like last week and moving forward, we're really talking about this. You can have this understanding, but there's not a one size fits all in the way that you go do it. And so that's why I think it's important to understand. So from the understanding, then you can carve your way. And I think it's too often, why do we start falling off of the resolution wagon really early in January? It's because we're following someone else's path.
Yes.
Not the way, not our way. And we can't understand our way unless we actually understand how things work. Then we can find our way.
Right. And that's why. And so just also one thing I forgot about me, and Mark didn't mention about him. Mark is a published author. His book is right behind him. He made the law of attraction very much more scientific and easy to follow and take action with. I am also a published author. My book is, so your book is Unleash Your Future, right?
Yes.
It's available on Amazon. And my book is a compilation book. It's Her Badass Story. Women who courageously decided to step into their own greatness, unapologetically be the badass in their lives. It's stories of trauma to triumph to transformation. That's also available on Amazon. So what Mark is saying is that, we set goals for ourselves, or intentions, or New Year's resolutions, whatever you want to call it. And we set them sometimes based on what other people think is what needs to be done, or we follow somebody else's idea. Now, there's nothing wrong with starting that way, but this is why it's important for you to ask yourself, what is it that you want and why do you want it? Because the why is more personal. The why is not because this other person said. So if you write your why and you say, well, because so-and-so said I needed this, that is not your why. That is somebody else's why. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to fail miserably because you're only going to be doing it for somebody else. But when you keep going deeper, and that's what Mark and I do as coaches, is we really make clients get to the why of what they want to do. Even if we have to ask a gazillion times and we drive them crazy, because it is personal. It is specific to the individual. And so that's why it's really important to ask yourselves these questions. But why is it important to do a 31-day mind shift challenge? Because it takes time to change your thoughts and the connections in your brain. You have to rewire your brain, literally. Okay. And the only way to do it is keep reminding yourself what it is that you want, why you want it, and keep doing it and take action over and over again. Does it take 31 days to change a habit? No. You'll hear all kinds of stuff. It'll say it takes 20 days, it takes 90 days, it takes whatever, 21 days, 60 days. It can take, research shows it could take anywhere from 7 days to change a habit to almost a full year. Depends on the habit, depends on how deeply it's ingrained in you. This is designed to give you accountability, because that's one piece that people need to be able to make change in their life. They need to know what they want to do, why they want to do it, what it really means to them. But they also need accountability. They need somebody to say, listen, I support you in your change, and I'm going to be here for you. So that's what our job is. But we are also going to educate you, because we talked last week. So if you didn't catch it, catch the video. We talked last week about why, why have the what and why have the why. And then today we're going to be talking about the state of stagnation. Okay. Because this is what happens. You're going into the new year expecting different changes, but you're going in with the same mindset from the year before. It's just a program, and you have to reprogram, and it's going to take time. So we go in with the old program expecting new changes. So we do the same thing over and over again, expecting a new change. And that is the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. Then we get frustrated with ourselves because we didn't change, or we failed. And we didn't fail. We just did what we did last year. And then it's just a repeating pattern. So if you really want to change, you got to change the pattern, So stagnation is usually a result of the subconscious pulling on you to argue with the conscious mind that's saying, I want to make this change. And the subconscious saying, no, you trained me all these years. And so I'm going to let you slow down a little bit so you can go backwards. And I'm going to actually hand it over to Mark to do a lot of the explanation on this. So
yeah, this is Lori, really, really important. And what I want to show here is there's a formula for change, right? And it's going to hit on this thing of what you were just talking about, right? I adapted this formula from, it's probably 40, 50 more years ago it was really applied to business and trying to make a change in business. And there's an equation, and there's two things going on. One, everybody knows that there's resistance to change, right? And we're going to talk about that in I think next week or the week after, we're talking about resistance.
Week four is resistance.
Yes, 2 weeks. That's right. So, but on the other side of that, there's this equation. If you want change to occur, this left side of must be greater than the resistance. It's dissatisfaction with your current experience, multiplied in the strength of your dissatisfaction, multiplied by the strength of your vision, multiplied by some first steps of a plan, not a full-blown plan. Because if you create a full-blown plan, it's only created on what you already knew, and you're going to end up in that insane place of doing the same things over and over again.
Yes.
So what Lori's talking about is that we look back, and let's say at first you look at a vision. What is it that you're trying to create? If you don't ask why enough, it might be, I'm doing this because someone programmed it in me, and it may not be very strong, right? So, and I'm going to show another visual here in a second that's going to get at, well, how do you strengthen this? But this dissatisfaction with the current state, this bit of creating a habit or something new, this is, it's a bit strange, because we can become satisfied with even the worst things. There's hostages who identify with their hostage takers, right?
We get comfortable in our misery.
Yes. So satisfaction is not a bad thing if you're in a place you want to be, but you can become satisfied in a place you don't want to be because it's easier. We're going to talk about, there's a law in the universe that makes that happen about, not wanting to take action out. We'll say that for a couple of weeks, but it's programmed in the way our universe works for you to stay stagnant, right? So this is where the understanding is important. This is why, in my opinion, right away, we fall off the wagon of our resolutions because we don't understand this equation. We're expecting I just thought about something and I'm going to have change. Well, there's a lot of other things at play, right? And let's say the weight loss thing, if your part is, well, I'm going to go on a diet and I'm going to go to the gym. Okay, well, those actions are things that you've done in the past, and you probably already know that there's something missing, and maybe I'm not going to do those for long, right? So this action, I talk a lot about intuitive action, inspired action, something different, something that takes you on a slightly different path. Now, so this is the equation. So if we look at then how all these things come together, right, to overcome that resistance, right? We can look at this in this kind of diagram. We talked last week about the vision, right? If we're not clear and we don't know our why, and maybe we're not dissatisfied enough, chances are we're generally undecided, even if we think we made a resolution, right?
Let me jump in here. This, in fact, if you have a chance and you have a phone, take a picture of this. This is really important. And then you can see it and look at it. And then you can always go back to the video and Mark can explain it again. But this piece right here is last week. This is the what. And then the why is that you ask yourself so many whys, because we've got to get down and dirty to you really feeling uncomfortable with your current situation. So if you want to lose that weight, you say, well, I want to lose that weight because I want to look better. I want to feel better. Why is it so important for you to look better, feel better? Why is this so important? Why? To give you that, there is no other choice but to lose the weight. That's the whole point.
Yeah, Lori, and this here, I switched to another diagram, which is how that law of attraction works. This focused thought, this is what you decided in the last week. That why, when you dig the why, that's where you find the energy and passion. So what Lori was talking about earlier, if you program in something, right, and it's not your energy and passion, you didn't ask the why, what you're going to be is disinterested, because you're following somebody else's piece. So you're not going to hit this zone where you're going to manifest. The other part is, we oftentimes think, oh, yeah, I'd love that, but it's not possible for me for whatever reason. The way this universe works, everything is possible for you, and the only person that stands in your way is you. Now, that's really easy to say, and it's simple, and it's the way it's laid out. Execution becomes more difficult because you have to prove this to yourself. The only person that can create this belief or prove this to you is you. So it's okay if you have to take small steps. So this is why I like how we started. You don't have to think about 2022 only. It's as long as it takes. You're on this road. You can start in February. You can start in March. You can start today. It doesn't matter where you start. Time is always moving. Today is hey, you know what? Today is New Year's Day, because it's the first day of the rest of your life. So whatever that day is, it's always New Year's Day.
Yes, that's fabulous. That's fabulous.
And this, if you're not focused, right, and you're not sure, and you just let, well, maybe it's this, maybe that, you become random. You slide out of this zone. Or if you didn't get to the why, and you got somewhere where it's like, I want $1 million, right? Well, why? It's not really you want $1 million. I could be disinterested about the amount of money, but my energy and passion is why is it the money, right? That's where you get that passion. And it's this belief. If what you want is further out, then you can believe, then you can small step your way there. And maybe it takes more than a year. This is where I think there's a fundamental, it saddens my heart to watch people come out and talk about the law of attraction and tell you you're going to manifest something tomorrow, right? And while that is theoretically possible, most of us, including myself, have to do a lot of work till we get on this piece here, right? And so this bit about it has to happen now, it has to happen now. Oh, look, it's so easy. You can just know that you can just put that aside, because that's not how our laws of our universe work, right? So we're trying to give you, as I said earlier, this is how it works. So you can work with, it's just like, diet and exercise. We all know how it works, right? It took me a long time to actually make it work for me, right? The science wasn't there wasn't a mystery, right? I didn't have any mystery why I weighed 60 or 65 pounds more than I do today. It wasn't a mystery, right? I had to go execute. So this is taking the mystery out.
Really? I think it
So you
just
can go execute.
magically, the food just magically landed in my mouth when I gained weight. So I don't know what yours mystery, that was a mystery to me.
Yes. Well, okay. So we'll break down. We'll allow you to have your little mystery, and then we'll demystify. And then once we demystify, right, it all comes down to action. And we all, because of the like, we're all different. The way that this occurs for each of us is different. And a big piece of that is when we look at this equation, none of us have the same bits in this equation, right? We may not know, like, oh man, how do I create an action plan? I'm not intuitive. Everybody's intuitive. You just
Yes.
not figured out how you've gotten it. Everybody has different resistances, right? They could be people close to you, right? Those are the hardest ones. If you don't have like close in, you have a wall built up. You just have to identify it, and then you can do something about it. Versus, well, I'm satisfied. It's good enough. I'm satisfied. This is why you can move from settling to success when you understand the journey. It's like the GPS, right? You can't know where, it can't give you directions if it doesn't know where you're at. This helps you know where you're at.
Yeah. Or you plug it in, like if you know where you
Yes.
need to go. And
That's right.
and one thing I want to mention about what you said, Mark, is that sometimes people will go to coaches that they're called intuitive coaches. I struggle with this a little bit because every coach is intuitive to a certain level. Some, I think, follow a very specific way of doing things and they don't allow their intuition. But Mark's right. Everybody has intuition. And the problem is that we don't trust within ourselves. We don't trust our abilities because we've learned to silence what we're really feeling or thinking, like not thinking so much, but feeling, because it maybe we made a bad choice years ago and I don't know what I'm doing. But when you trust in that process, and that's the whole point of any type of law of attraction work, is you got to trust in the process. And when you don't, and I know this specifically for me because I teach this, and I struggled for 2021. I started to not trust in the process. And I had a lot of stagnation over the last, like for about 6 months of the year, not to mention very low, like my emotions were really low. My energy was really low. And I was in a massive funk. And it was because I didn't trust in my abilities. And I was listening to a lot of other people. And I was thinking that I needed to do things differently. I needed to do things that other people were suggesting. Not that there's anything wrong with what other people suggest, but you have to be clear on who you are and what you want. And then you take that information and then you apply it to yourself. Because when you're clear on who you are and what you want, whatever information comes into you, then you'll understand how to apply your what and why to the information that comes in. You might be like, okay, I don't need this. This is something, thank you I'm grateful for the information, but I don't need it. Or some other information comes in and you're like, wow, this is exactly what I needed to do. I'm going to incorporate it in myself. And that's the whole point. This is not just about a mindset challenge to get you to keep moving forward, whatever goals you set for the months to keep going, because most New Year's resolutions, they're done by the sixth weekend. So that gets us to the second week of February. Our goal is to make you think differently so that you push yourself, and then we check in with you and see how you're doing. And you can write it in the comments. You could contact us directly through messaging or emails. But at the end of all this, we are going to do, that's the whole last piece, is literally reviewing what you learned and then checking in with you. So we're really hopeful that a lot of you will stay on with this and keep answering the questions, and then be brave enough to come on or at least type in. You don't have to speak, but type in so that we can go over what you went over. And just a reminder, so last week was getting clear on what you want and why you want it. This week is the state of stagnation. We're going to give you questions in a moment because we're almost out of time. I'm going to give you questions to take this week and answer. Then next week is going to be that part of Mark's formula that was taking action. It's called Just Move. And then the fourth week is going to be, we're going to be talking about the resistance, also part of his formula. And then the next week, which really isn't a full week away, we will do that. Actually, it's a little over a week. We will do Saturday. the 22nd, and then we will jump to Monday, the 31st, so we could grab the last day. So we're hoping that you could make it. And that's a review and analysis. So any last bit, Mark, before
Yeah,
we
the one thing I would say there, I think the big thing you touched on bravery or courage, right? It takes courage to act on your intuition.
Yes.
And it's oftentimes you think you're alone and nobody follows their intuition. So just to put this into perspective, I read a study recently, it was in Harvard Business Review, that 80% of the CEOs in this survey said that one of the biggest things they use to make their decisions is intuition, right? So but you don't hear people talk about it. So understand that the way to build your intuitive muscles and intuitive intelligence is to use it, right? If you didn't go to school and learn anything, like if you never picked up, like you're not going to know as much, right? It's not that you're not capable of knowing. It's the same way with your intuition. You got to use it to strengthen it.
That's right. That's right. And your courage muscle too, to be courageous, you have to keep doing it and doing it when you really don't want to do it. And that's been a big lesson. That was a big lesson for me for 2021. And, Maya Angelou says, and I say this all the time, like I use this quote, her quote is, do the best you can until you know better. And when you know better, do better. But you know what? Even when you know better, sometimes you don't do better because we get in our own effing way. That's the problem. And even those of us that do this for a living, we have our moments. That's the whole point of this. And Mark and I were talking about, we both were in a bit of a funk last year. And we did a broadcast on that at the end of the year about the funk of 2021. And you can catch that. We broadcast that you could find it on YouTube and Facebook. But the bottom line is this, is that we all need to be accountable. Coaches have coaches. We have friends. We have mentors. We have to hold ourselves accountable. And when we can't do it, we have to have support groups, tribes, whatever, to help us get to that little next piece that maybe we're growing. And then we got a little nervous and we sort of stagnated. And in order to get to the next piece, we need the oomph. And that was the whole point that we decided to do this, was because we needed the oomph. So don't ever feel that, oh, well, these people know what they're talking about and they've got it all under, and I'll never be that way. That's the wrong attitude to have, because even Oprah Winfrey, with all the successes that she has, that woman has like 6 coaches.
Yes, all the great ones still have coaches.
They have a team.
Don't worry, we're at the bottom of the hour. So, what are our questions for
our questions? And thank you, Mark, for keeping me in.
We could talk forever. So
I know. All right. So here's what we're leaving with you. Okay. And we will see you next week. So these are the questions for you. Write them down, or you can always listen to this and get it again. What was holding you back in 2021? If there was something holding you back, what was it? And take time to think about this. This isn't a quick answer. Take the whole week and keep asking yourself. Add to it as you need to. How strongly are you dissatisfied with your life or your current situation? How strongly are you dissatisfied? List the things that you're dissatisfied with and give them a pain scale. I'm a chiropractor. I know pain. All right. 10 being the worst. And if it's 10 plus, then it's really bad. Okay. So give it a pain scale. What are you tolerating in your life? Make a list of the things that you are allowing, that you don't change, but you really would prefer it to be different. That doesn't necessarily have pain, but it's just a toleration. Okay. So what are you tolerating, and what would you have to change for you to have what you want? What would have to change for you to have what you want from that last week's list? That meaning, what would you have to do to change? Okay. This is a real thought provoker. So again, what was holding you back in 2021? How strongly are you dissatisfied with your life or your situations? What are you tolerating, and what would you have to change for you to have what you want? All right. And again, thank you. We went over a minute. Thank you so much for coming on today. You can see the replays in Facebook. We also have the link in YouTube if you need it. That'll be uploaded within the day. Mark, anything
Thank you so much.
Anything else? Thank you, Catherine.
No, thank you all for coming. I mean, we started in January because this is the time to think. But as we said, don't think about this as it's ongoing.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Peace out.
Thank you.
And from the Badass Buddha, Dr. Lori Monaco, remember, be you, be real, be extraordinary, and we will see you next week.
Take care,
Okay.
all. Have a good week.
Bye.